Hey rockers, back again. And tonight I'm going to do a story to fulfill the request of a regular supporter of the channel and a friend of mine, Karen Lee in Rhode Island. You've been asking for more radio station stories, and I thought I'd knock out a quick one for you tonight. More rock and roll tales coming soon, but this is about a radio experience that I had that went horribly wrong and almost got me fired and almost got the radio station in big trouble, but what really happened was bad enough. So quickly, a little backstory. I got into radio back in 1999 at WWCT Radio in Peoria, Illinois. And the great Wayne R. Miller gave me my first job and hired me. He was my landlord at the time, and I didn't know he was the general manager of Rock 106 Radio in Peoria, Illinois. But I used to listen to him on the radio as a kid, and I was a fan of him. And then when I was listening to the radio, in the late 90s, 98, 99, he was the GM, general manager of Rock 106 in Peoria. Well, I found out that I could get a job there. Long story short, I ended up getting a job there. And I started doing 6 to midnight, 7 days a week. No, back up. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about iRock. Sorry, another radio station. I started out in radio doing midnight to 6 a.m., 7 days a week. There you go. That was a trip. I cut my teeth at Rock 106. At one point in the 1970s, Rolling Stone magazine actually named this radio station as Radio Station of the Year. It was a great station that you could pick up sometimes between St. Louis and Chicago, a good distance of the way. I'm talking a big wattage station. I want to say 50,000 watts, but I could have that wrong. But it was a big station. So I'm on the air at Rock 106. We go through, a transition phase where the station gets bought out. And in the year 2000, I'm back on the air with Rock 106, but in a different building, different management. And I have a great show going with a co-host by the name of Chaplain Chip Vee. And I'm doing the radio show now at this point on different weekdays. I was like more of a fill-in guy. I had like certain regular hours, but it was more part-time. But I was hosting my 2-hour Church of Rock radio show on Sunday nights, which has been on for 24 years now and is still running, by the way. So not only did I have Chaplain Chip as my co-host and co-producer, but we had another guy that was our man on the street. That was a common thing for morning shows back in the day, but we were on in the evenings from like 8 until 10 p.m. And sometimes from 10 to midnight. I've had the show for so many years and so many incarnations. Well, we were on the air. We had a man on the street named Choirboy Cue. I don't know why we called him that, but we called him Choirboy Cueball. And so we shortened it to Choirboy Cue. The Church of Rock, I'm Reverend Derek Moody on the radio. We have Chaplain Chip Vee. Now we've got the man on the street, Choirboy Cue, right? So one night I decided to come up with this harebrained concoction of an idea to send one of the guys down to Hooters dressed as a woman and it was like a joke. And basically we sent Choirboy Cue down to Hooters, and he dressed as a woman, but only from the neck down. In other words, he dressed like a girl with the fake boobs, the whole deal, but from the head up, it was a guy. And he goes to Hooters, downtown Peoria, which is a pretty popular place at this time. They were doing advertising with the station and stuff, and I figured this would be fun. A fun little on-air stunt. I told Choirboy Cueball, when you get down to Hooters, call me on your phone and then I'll put you on the air live. So we told the audience we've got something special coming up. We're sending Choirboy Cueball out on the street to do a mission for the Church of Rock. And of course, folks, this is all done in the name of entertainment, and we consider radio to be theater of the mind. Those of us that do radio a certain way. Not just push a button and talk, but we do create things. And there's many more stories like this to come. So Choirboy gets downtown. He gets to Hooters, calls me up. I say, go ahead and walk inside and keep me on the phone as you talk to the manager. So he walks up to the front of the manager's desk, at the station when you go to Hooters and they go to seat you. And they're like, can we help you? And he's like, yes, I would. I said, tell him you want a job application, because they only hire females there that are good looking and that kind of thing. Hooters is famous for having women that have very tight shirts on with these owls right here and very short shorts and the whole 9 yards. It's a real, dude kind of place, man. So I knew this was going to be hysterical because what are they going to do? Hire a dude? Because this isn't back in the LGBTQ days or whatever. This was not in the days where people were open-minded to this, especially in the Midwest, man. So he gets the lady to start kind of chuckling, and she's like, well, you're not a woman or whatever. And he says, I say, tell her that it's sexual discrimination. So he's like, isn't that sexual discrimination? And the lady's like, ha, ha, ha. And he tells her, yeah, I'm from Rock 106 Radio with Derek Moody and the Church of Rock, and I just want to work here. And then she puts on, I say, tell her to put on Rock 106 in Hooters. So she does. And the entire place, you could hear like me broadcasting and talking to Choirboy Cue through the PA system. And so everyone in there now is aware that this thing's going on. They're hearing me talk. They're hearing Choirboy talk. The manager's fully engaging and laughing. Ha, ha, ha. And when he first walked in, he actually had to talk to a regular employee, and they went to get the manager. That's right. And it was a female. Well, it was a very funny bit, and it went on for a bit. We kind of taunted them, teased them, kind of hinted that we were going to sue them if they didn't give him a job application, because however, that would have been, sexual discrimination, but, we were taking it a bit too far. Well, it got a lot of laughs. A lot of the listeners thought it was hilarious. The show was on so late at night that nobody from the management was even listening. But me and Chaplain Chip were dying laughing back at the station because we were just like, this is hysterical. And all the people were interacting with us at Hooters. It was funny. We're talking on the phone. You can hear them laughing. The manager, I say, can you put the manager on the phone? So she gets on the phone with me, and I start grilling her a little bit, teasing her about, hey, man, this is wrong. It's sexual discrimination. You've got to let this person have a job application. And we went on and on for a while. Well, flash forward to about a week or two later. I get a phone call from my general manager, who was a guy that was very popular in Central Illinois radio, named Jamie Markley. And you people from Central Illinois know who I mean. And right now would be a great time to please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, please leave a comment, and maybe share the video as well. 2 weeks later at the most, Jamie Markley calls me on the phone, and he's being very stern with his voice. He's like this, Derek, what are you up to, man? And I'm like, I'm in trouble. I can feel it. And he goes, hey, man, did you send somebody down to Hooters a couple weeks ago or something about a live on-air thing? And I'm like, uh-oh, yeah, why? He goes, well, you just lost us a $50,000 account. They're not going to advertise with us anymore, and that's what they pay to advertise. It was like 50 grand for however much advertising. I'm not sure if that was for the year, because corporate radio is extremely expensive compared to community radio, which doesn't have commercials. It has underwriters. But corporate radio is really expensive. So Hooters was one of our major corporate customers, clients, they call them. And I couldn't believe what he told me. He's like, yep, you lost our $50,000 account. Can you tell me what happened? And I'm like, oh, man. He goes, actually, I want to talk to you in person. So I had to go over there and talk to him in person, and it was not fun. It was very somber. And he just basically told me he couldn't guarantee my job, didn't know what was going to happen. I was completely bumming, thinking, oh, man, I'm done. I'm off the air. This was the very first time I'd ever done anything like this, and there was many more times later at a different station. I'll bring stories to you. But I had to wait, and I was biting my nails for about a week. It was not fun, man. One day I get another call. Jamie Markley's on the phone. He says, Derek, well, you're going to be able to stay on the air, but we're going to change some things around, man, because we talked to Hooters, and the bottom line is they have a rule in their corporate rule is you can't go, management does not do any kind of media, whether it's TV, radio, or newspaper. It all has to come and be okayed from corporate Hooters. And you violated their rule, blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, hold up. The manager herself basically volunteered to get on the phone with me and was pretty much taking it in stride. He says, do you have a recording of the show to prove this? I say, I do, because at the time I taped everything. So I handed over the tape. After a couple days, I got another call saying, okay, now that you've proven your case, we've taken this into consideration, but here's the new rules. A, Chaplain Chip Vee is now off the show. No more co-producer, co-host. You do the show yourself. I'm like, oh no, that sucks. And then he's like, and from now on, I want to okay everything you do. I don't want you to have any more man on the street. So Choirboy Cueball's gone. I'm like, oh man, because we were having a lot of fun. I've got more stories to tell you that don't involve potential lawsuits and things like that or losing money. But I got in trouble on this station in the same year by the same general manager. I'll bring that story to you soon. But he also took away my ability to choose what I wanted to play. I literally had to make my playlist, submit it to him, and he would say, nah, can't play this. Nah, not this. That sucked. It didn't last real long because not too far down the line, I got another offer from a big radio station in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois, and I ended up going there full time. And that was a hell of a lot of fun where I got to do a lot of creativity. And I've got stories from there from bringing at least 2 or 3 lawsuits that kind of came our way because of stunts I did on the air. But because of the rating system called Arbitron, I was allowed to stay. Anyway, it sucked. My radio show wasn't the same after that. It was basically, my friends, it was what they call a morning show at night. Because another side story to this show, there was a popular morning show in Peoria, Illinois called the Lytle and Lamb Morning Show. And these guys were not really pleased that we were doing a morning show at night because the show we were doing kicked ass. No offense to the Lytle and Lamb guys if you see this, but their show was kind of stale at that time. When I first met them back in the early 90s, mid 90s, it was a different story. I'll admit it. But at this point, we were kicking some ass on the air, and they didn't like that we were doing that. So they literally told Jamie Markley, we don't want these guys doing a morning show at night. And because they were the guys bringing in the most money with advertising, being a morning show, they literally Jamie said, you're doing a morning show at night. You've got to stop. I'm like, I've got to stop doing good radio because these guys are jealous. And can you believe about a week after that, the head guy from the Lytle and Lamb morning show, sorry, Ray, I'm just telling the truth, man. Ray Lytle calls me at home and he says, hey, Derek, it's Ray Lytle from the Lytle and Lamb morning show. I want to talk to you, man. How you doing? I go, wow, what's this about? And he starts buttering me up and he literally says, and he offers me, hey, man, we'd like to offer you the producer's job for the Lytle and Lamb morning show, and you would be the guy to, set up our entertainment, like be in charge of our different stunts we do on the air, because you're good at that, man. You're really good at it. I'm like, I knew that they were bumming out because they felt a competition between us and them, even though my show was a Sunday night show for 2 hours a week, and they had a morning show every morning from like 5 or 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. or something crazy. But it's a true story, and even truer is the fact that these guys tried to offer me like 18 grand a year. I was like, are you kidding? I would have wanted 25, 30 grand a year easy at that point back in 2000. You know what I mean? But 18 grand a year, I said, you've got to be joking me. A full-time job with all the creativity involved in doing that daily, it's a lot of work, man. It's really fun, but it's a lot of work. I mean, at the time, we were creating shows like The Happy Hour with Dick Gozinia and Lifestyles of the Permanently Stoned and with Robin Roach. And we had another, we just had all these different segments we were doing each week. We were creating parody songs, and it was just a massive time of creativity for me. But that wraps up this story about how I had a radio stunt go wrong and how Hooters pulled $50,000 away from our advertising. And down the road, they were able to fix it. But there was a time for a while there where they did lose the money for at least one pay period. And that was a lot of money, and they kept me on air. Why? I don't know, man. But they don't call me the self-ordained high priest of rock and roll for nothing, and I am still doing radio today at KSKQ in Ashland, Oregon. I am a volunteer at community radio, and we're on the air 6 to 8 p.m. every Sunday at www.kskq.org. That's 6 p.m. Pacific time live. My friends, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to this simple tale of radio craziness. More soon, I promise. Thanks for being here, and stay real, rockers.